Alex, thank you very much for agreeing to this interview. I've been looking forward to doing this for a long time, having met you first 2 or 3 years ago in this very room. But could we just start by just mentioning when you enlisted in the AIF, or were you in the militia beforehand?
No, I was not in the militia. I joined the army at 18 years and 6 weeks, and I went to the second ITD, which was Wavell, and was on the Centennial Hall building for a long time. About 2 or 3 months, then the 48th Battalion was formed. They had 5 companies. They wanted another few companies to go with it, so they put all of us that weren't in the 48th on the parade ground, put us in companies, marched us into the motor pavilion in the old Wavell showgrounds. And I went along and I counted off I think it was 10 or 11 companies, and those on the end got chopped off and they went back on the ground again. I was then put into a tank corps, and the army found out that I never had any tanks to train us, so they disbanded that after about a fortnight. Then in October 1940 they formed the ammunition sub-park with 64 people, and at the end of October and early November, the first ones went up to Woodside to be the nucleus for the ammunition sub-park. We were up there for about a month, 2 months, and just December 1940, the Dom people were doing the Alice Springs to Laramar dirt track, doing the maintenance work on that. They came back, 500 of them. The 250 came to our unit, and 250 went to the 2nd MT unit, and they left in February 1941 to go to Singapore. We were due to go on that trip from Sydney in February 41, but we were offloaded and we went back to Alice Springs. So some of the fellas, this was their second time back at Alice Springs. We were up there for another 6 months, from April till September, and we were a bit disgruntled up there, and so we sort of rebels, so I think it was 6th, 7th and 9th Divi fellas in the unit, and of course we some had been in the army for 2 years nearly, and anyhow, Colonel Lowder got on the back of his truck and he said, "I need you people here, but if you want to go overseas, I'll let you go, but I don't want to, and good luck to you." Well, we came back to Adelaide in September, got on the train and went to Melbourne late in October 41, and got on the camp at the Caulfield Racecourse in the horse stalls, and had about 5 days there on leave. Then we went down to the Melbourne ports on November the 2nd to go to board the Zealandia to go overseas. We had a feeling it was going to be the 8th Division, but we were never told really then. But we left Melbourne ports the afternoon of the 2nd and escorted by the HMAS Adelaide, and it was beautiful in the Port Phillip Bay with the fellas that are in the know on the ship. They point out all the good, interesting parts of the Port Phillip Bay, Queenstown and other places that were along there. And of course we go out through the heads, it was a different story altogether. We started to hit the waves. Well, I'm not a good sailor, I've never been in board over been waist. But I go there, and I get on this Zealandia and I stand on the side rail with many others. Many were sick, I was not, but I managed to stay there the whole trip to Western Australia. But on that trip, I don't know which way the ship went, but we had the biggest, roughest ocean you could ever see. There must have been 20-foot waves of all. The bow was down the back, and the stern was up the front, and the stern was down and the bow was up. So we had that, and we travelled to about the 9th of November, and a ship came in, when we got into calmer waters, which is off Albany, because one of the crew told us where we were. He said, that ship behind you is HMAS Sydney. And that's the first time I knew about the Sydney. But I believe the Sydney took over on the 5th of November, but I knew nothing about that. So we go into Fremantle and we get leave, and I hadn't had a shower for a week, and whatever food I ate was brought up to me on deck. I wouldn't go downstairs. So Jack, Jolly and I decided to go for a shower in Perth. So we go to town in the train and get into Perth, and we make inquiries where you have a shower. They said, you've got to go to the local zoo in East Perth. So we go down to the wharves to get on the ferry, and we just missed it. And some fella said, why don't you take a dinghy? So Jack, Jolly and I took a dinghy and rowed it across the Swan River. And of course we also took a 12-year-old boy to look after the boat so it wouldn't get stolen. So we had our shower and came back, and we had to row the boat back again. But the ferry went across 2 or 3 times while we were rowing back. And the marvellous part about it, Jack and I are non-swimmers. I don't think we'd ever gone on the river we'd known how deep and how wide it was, but it was an experience we never would forget anyhow. From there on we had more leave down in Fremantle, and I was going out around Fremantle the second day, and as I was walking off the boat, the sergeant said, you and you are on guard duty. And so we were on the 8 o'clock shift, and I was with Jack Shillingsford, womaniser and things like that, and I was neither of those. Now we go out and we meet a couple of girls, talking to them in the parks around Fremantle, and comes 8 o'clock and Jack says, oh, we're not going back. We'll go back at 10 o'clock and tell them we're coming back. Missed the time, we did forgot the time. Anyhow, we got back at 10 o'clock. We were put immediately under arrest and confined to the boat from then on, temporarily. Next morning, Jack Shillingsford was fined for a fortnight's wages. I got off because in the meantime, in the morning, while I was waiting for things to happen, they wanted some crates brought onto the Zealandia. So they took a dozen of us off the boat and waited for this truck to come in. And they brought these big crates, about as big as a tea chest. And when I went off the ship, the gangplank was about a foot deep on the deck of the ship. But when I went back on the ship had tide had risen and the gangplank was 3 feet off the deck. So I walked down with this tea chest, whatever it was, probably cigarettes, I don't know what it was, and stepped off the end of the gangplank, which I thought was a 12-inch fall, and I'd been fitted up a 3-foot fall. I fitted up, sprained my ankle, so I couldn't get charged. So I was on what they call a sick list, so I never got charged. So that let me out of that. Came November the 11th, and the Zealandia moved out in the middle of the ocean, middle of Fremantle Harbour, about it must have been 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning from the wharf, and we remained there in the middle of Fremantle Harbour till Armistice Day. This was Armistice Day, sorry, and we had an Armistice Day service on the ship. Everybody respected our fallen comrades from previous wars, and then at 2 o'clock the Sydney left the wharf on the northern side of Fremantle Harbour, joined us. We went out into the Indian Ocean. That was very, very nice, that Indian Ocean island sea, because it was smooth like a block of ice, no waves and nothing in it. And I was able to eat and enjoy life on the boat better. On the 17th of November, the Sydney crew must have seen smoke on the horizon in the left, and they done a turn left and went out to investigate